Welcome to the Present and Sober podcast with your hosts, Sam Goldfinch and Ellie Crow. If you want to make your life bigger, not smaller, then this is the podcast for you. If you can sense that you're destined for more and you're curious about how drinking could be holding you back, listen in and come on this journey with us. Through the interplay of mind and body practices, we will help you elevate your daily life and discover the wonder and potential of going alcohol-free. Let's make life bigger together. Hey, lovely people. Right, we've put together a really short and sweet podcast that you can put in your back pocket and come back to again and again. We're going to do kind of a bird's eye view of some of the stuff we wish we'd known before we went on the alcohol-free journey. And we've kind of gone back over some of the things we've discussed before and condensed them down and had a good chat about it. And had a good giggle as well, as we so often do. So looking forward to putting this one out there. Now, if you didn't catch last week's episode with Carla Adkins, episode 62, go back and check it out. The feedback and the love that's come in support of Carla and her bravery and her sharing and everything has just been incredible in the Facebook group. So if you're not in the Facebook group, come and say hi. You get to interact with most of the guests that we have on are in the group, so they're there and they'll happily chat with you. You can ask questions and things like that. And yeah, that's all I really want to say this week. Just short and sweet from me. So see you in just a second.
Welcome to the Present and Sober podcast. This almost didn't happen because Sam couldn't speak and I hadn't plugged my headset in.
I still
rookie error.
Speaking is still
speaking
a bit challenging. Got new teeth again. Every 10 days I get new teeth.
And a new challenge. So, welcome to Sam wanted to call this the cold, hard truth about sobriety. And then he changed it to the warm and floppy
reality. So here we are, people, the warm, floppy reality.
So if you want to get warm and floppy with us, get ready.
Now's the time.
Now's the time.
There's never been a better time.
Never been a better time to get all warm and floppy.
It's the summer. It's the summer.
Oh dear. So this episode came about because we have a wonderful Facebook group with a wonderful influx of new people, which is wonderful to see. So a big welcome to everybody. And it's just been lovely to hear where people are coming from too. And seeing people that have been recommended to come and have a listen, embark on a new journey, consider a new possibility. And so this episode is a little bit of a dedication to you, to anybody that's early on, anybody that's about to step into the unknown world, the unknown floppy world of sobriety.
and of course, anyone who is going to be interesting for anyone who's been with us for the journey, because there are a load of episodes from the beginning where we, as our journey grows and evolves, and as we learn more, and as we're kind of getting more training, like we're going to go back and like talk again about things that we spoke about early on. So this is kind of a bit of us returning to some things we've spoken before in a bit of a bird's eye view fashion. We're going to have a go anyway.
We're going to try. We're going to try our.
It's not our skill.
Our damnedest. It's dedicated to those new folks, but those old folks are going to equally get something from it, and it's going to be really interesting for you to reflect on these things wherever you are in your floppy path or floppy world of sobriety.
I don't think we've ever dedicated an episode to anybody. It's like when you open a book and it says this book is dedicated to. So yeah, that's interesting. Maybe we should dedicate every episode to something.
Dedicate. Yeah, maybe we should. And especially those people that go and write us lovely reviews will definitely. So we might pick out a special person, whoever goes and writes a really strikingly floppy review. No, don't write us a floppy review. That sounds terrible. That's an awful idea. But yes, if you want a dedication, write us a review. We'll see what we can do.
Okay. Stop talking about floppy things. It's time to...
We haven't got much time left.
It's time to begin. We've got 25 to 30 minutes remaining. We're going to try and do... This is the challenge, people. We're going to try and do a bird's eye view and stay on track. Great. Brilliant idea, Eddie Crow. Let's see what happens. Okay.
I'll rein you in.
Number one. I will need reining in. Number one, sobriety or being alcohol free, or however you choose to talk about it or think about it, is not what you think it is.
What is it then?
Well, it won't be what you think it is. Well, look, in a funny way, things are only what you think they are, because our feelings come from our thinking and we experience our thought in 100% of every moment. So the thing is, right, if I take you to an example, Sam back in the day, good few years back now, had some ideas about what he thought being alcohol free would be like. And he was kind of daydreaming about it and thinking about it and getting excited about it or getting stressed about it and getting fearful about it, or all of those things at the same bloody time, and getting feedback on my thinking and my belief system and my projections around it. And then I'd be like trying to make decisions based on that. And like, ultimately it weren't that. It weren't that. It ain't that. And that's great, because it's, in my experience, much, much better than I could ever have dreamt it to be. And yeah. So, a lot of people are going to have ideas about what they think it is. Oh, am I never going to have fun again? Am I going to be, am I going to have to, forever avoid certain situations? Am I going to have to, what am I going to do about stress? What am I going to, it often displays as that, right? It is like, what am I going to do about, or what if kind of thinking? And it puts us into a bit of a tailspin, and we don't know how to find our way out. So yeah, that's kind of what comes to me. First and foremost, what comes to you?
I think you've described it beautifully. And the really exciting thing to know is that the only way you'll discover what it really is by doing it.
Yeah. Which
can be scary, but we talk about this all the time, that when you start to feel, you'll get a tap on the shoulder, you'll get a little nudge, a little feeling in your little rumbly tummy. And there's a reason you're listening to this now. There's a reason that I recorded the Adrian Charles documentary on drinkers like me and then didn't watch it for a whole year. There's a reason we do these things, because we have this inner wisdom, this guidance system. And it's gently, or not so gently, nudging us towards alignment with what's really true, meaningful to us in our lives. And so we have to, it kind of gets to this point, I think it's like this critical mass of, you can no longer ignore it. And you have to summon up every ounce of courage and bravery that you have to take the leap of faith and believe that there's a possibility that it might be amazing. It might be something completely different to what you think it is.
Yeah, I love it. And as a top tip, is it a tip? If you
top
feel
tit.
like, if as a top tit, if I am a top tit, if you're trying to decide between black and white, if you're trying to decide between like the forever thing and the what I have now thing, like, don't do that. Like, you don't have to do that. Doing it is what, it could be the live alcohol experiment. It could be a week. It could be a weekend off. It could be, in my experience, creating an idea around like being alcohol free forever or whatever, and then like living in the, oh my God, I don't know what that means, so I'm in a state of panic about it. I'm not sure how many people that's helping. For some people that could be very helpful, but for me, it was much more powerful to slowly. So my experience of this was like, doing it was what made sense to me. So I did a month here. I did like a 2 month, a 3 month, a 6 month, a year. Like there was, and each time I learned something and moved closer and closer to freedom. And then I kind of worked through my belief system, right? And suddenly stepped into this new reality. So we're not saying like, oh, you got to like make a decision, like be strong, make a decision forever right now. No, it just means take the next step that makes sense to you, and get data on it. Because what most people find is if you go and do, say, the live alcohol experiment, at the end of those 30 days, you feel really differently to how you think you might do. And you get actual data about what's going on and how you feel in your body, what your sleep's like. So like, yeah, just things are available to you. in motion and in action that aren't available to you sat on the sofa kind of pondering what you think it's going to be like and innocently scaring yourself about what in mine and Ellie's experience is the greatest thing that's ever happened to us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I can't remember where this came from, but I remember it being a thing in coach training where it's like you just need to see the next right step.
Yeah.
That's it. Just that one step in front of you. That's it.
Who's the author? It's a great quote of the car driving in the fog. He's talking about writing a novel. Writing a novel is like driving a car in the, like with the flashlight, with the headlights up in thick fog, and you can just see what's in front of you. Or if you were kind of like walking across like a, you know, one plank at a time, you know, and that's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. So yeah, that's the first thing. Let's not go any deeper into it because we're doing a bird's eye view.
We're trying to keep on track.
Keep on track. The next thing, do you want me to say it or did you have it written down?
It doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah.
It can be floppy.
That wasn't planned. Brilliant. And the thing is, it's like, I think a lot of the things that people think are going to be hard are actually surprisingly effortless. And then there are things that people think are going to be effortless that catch them by surprise and they can be a bit of a challenge. And that's life, right? How many times does that happen to us? And often, I mean, I can remember receiving an email from a guy that basically said, I've been doing some research about what's going to happen for the first 2 weeks, and I know that I'm going to live in a living hell. And I said, how do you know this? He was like, I've been reading about dopamine and neurotransmitters, and I just know it's going to be like that. And I said, can we have an experiment? I don't know. Maybe it will be a living hell. Maybe it won't be. Can we literally take our hands off the steering wheel and just see how it comes day by day, bit by bit? He was like, okay, fine. And then like a week and a half later, he sent me a message and he was like, bloody hell, Mr. Sam, I didn't even get a craving. How weird's that? Now, I'm not going to say that's everyone's experience, right? Experience, gosh, I apologize. This lisping. Why am I apologizing? I'm just lisping. I don't need to apologize. Just lisping. I've lost my brain now. Classic.
You've distracted me now, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, I had times where I stopped and it seemed to be really effortless, and I had other times where I stopped and it seemed to be a bit more challenging. And a lot of it is to do with that first thing. You're feeling what you're thinking. So if you're excited about it, excited about the new experience, about being empowered, if you're out the pressure cooker and you're like, well, I'm just going to see what happens, then you have a certain experience. If you're freaking out because your life's never going to be the same again, and this is, if you don't get it right this time, everything's doomed, and I'm going to fail at this, and then you'll get that experience. So I think it doesn't have to be like that. Doesn't have to be like that. It can be the most joyous expression. Are there going to be challenges? Well, you're a human being, so I think it's likely that you're going to have a few of them in your life, whether you drink or not. But you're going to get a whole host more of them if you're a drinker, in my experience.
Absolutely, yeah. Ultimately, you get to choose.
Yeah,
you have the power. Okay,
have the power.
I just had a vision of She-Ra then, back from the 80s. You're definitely. Are you too young
was
for
way
She-Ra?
better.
No.
Yeah, and Thundercats, way better.
He had like Jatara. He had really funny hair though, didn't he? He-Man. He had he had a yellow, funny fringe, didn't he?
Yeah, like your mum had in the 80s, not your mum in particular.
She had curly hair in the 80s.
But like a bowl cut, but with a bit of other bit going on. Brilliant description.
Oh
Sam,
my God!
Done.
Now this is the worst episode I think we've ever recorded. I can't remember what I was saying now.
I think it's great.
We're talking about choice.
Yeah,
you've got the power. You've got the power. It's your choice. Yeah, and you get to choose how you want it to be. When I embarked on this journey myself, I just went flat out into curiosity mode. I was just might be because I'm a nosy. I always used to call myself a nosy person. Not nosy, I'm curious. I just wanted to see what might happen. And that took so much pressure off me because I wasn't trying to change a behavior. I wasn't going for some kind of specific outcome, it was really floppy. I just wanted to see what might happen. And
Malleable, I think, is the right
malleable.
word.
I like floppy.
Flexible.
Flexible. It just allowed me so much room to. This is why I love the experiment, the alcohol experiment, because you've just got room to explore and find out.
Yeah. And the thing that just jumped into my head is it is really worth being malleable and flexible, because I think for a lot of us, we get into these spirals where we're like, oh, I'm going through a patch where, God, how long is this going to go on for? Is this going to last forever? When actually we're always feeling our thinking, and we're only ever one thought away from an entirely different lived experience. So when we're having one of those mornings where that can happen, I had days where I had a morning where I was a bit wobbly, and then the afternoon was great, right? And you can choose again. We talk about this, we've spoken about this before in previous things. Just because you're having a bit of a wobble one day, like that's okay. Like that's allowed, and you're allowed, and you're also allowed to have that moment and then to be in a different space shortly afterwards. And in our experience, the less you just let it happen, the more you let it happen and look after yourself and go for a walk and give yourself a bit of self-care, the more quickly you'll recalibrate back to where you want to be, and to curiosity and compassion, and and those things are just really, really powerful on the journey. So yeah, stay curious. It doesn't have to be the way that it doesn't have to be how that bloke down Tesco told you it's going to be either. The bloody, how many people have been got by, or once a smoker, always a smoker. It's a load of bollocks. It's not like that. And we have way more agency than we realize.
Yeah. And again, this comes back to this idea that you've got everything that you need within you, including the wisdom to know what's right for you. And you can make the choice. Like it's this whole thing with expectations. We expect something to be a certain way, and we're just setting ourselves up for that. So suspend your judgment, have a really open mind, and do everything that you can to cultivate emotions that feel good in the body, because those are the things that are going to carry you through the times that are more challenging, the times that are tougher, which will inevitably come. But it's not that sobriety is hard. Like life is hard at times because it's life. And we have this like warped view of, well, it's almost like we kid ourselves into thinking that we can avoid difficulty and any kind of like real challenge in life by numbing. Well, we don't. We just delay it. We avoid it temporarily,
and we wouldn't want that anyway.
So it's. I was thinking. I'm trying really carefully not to go off on a tangent. But what I was thinking about is that.
I'm watching.
Wagging your finger at me. Where did it come from? Did it come from us, the whole choose your hard thing?
I think it came from you. I think you said that. But no, I think you said it, but I think you may have heard it somewhere else. I seem to remember you referencing it at the time.
I seem to remember saying it, and there's somebody posting some really provocative images.
Something rude, shocking.
It wasn't me.
When you were talking, I wrote down expectations versus intentions, and I think it'd be really good to do a podcast on that and to break down what we mean when we say expectation. So that's underlined. We'll do that. Perhaps we'll do that next week.
Hell to the yeah.
Right, I'm getting you back in the lane. Get back in the lane. Next one. What did you have written down?
You're not on your own.
Oh yeah, and you're not. You are not on your own. Even if you're physically on your own, you're not. And we can, sometimes we might be in a position where we feel like there's people that, the people around us don't really get what we're going through and the journey that we're on. But that is something wonderful about the internet and social media and things like that. It's one of the amazing things that can come from it. Podcasts like this, coming and talking in the group. And there are quite literally millions of people all over the world right now who are having a similar, experience. They're starting to question in the way that you might be. And we can really feel like we're on an island. And I think the things that we feel are most unique to us. This is a pattern I see all the time, and I'm sure you do as well, Ellie. Like one of most of the things that we think are the most unique to us, and the things that we might even have shame about or guilt about, or there are tons of people who feel like that. And when we're in coaching groups, and when people share, and when I like very often will say, who else has experienced this? And when you get 50 people put their hand up and say, yeah, I have my flavor of that too. Almost everything we're experiencing on some level is a human thing. It's a human thing. And because we're in the middle of our own experience, it's really, we innocently can build ourselves our own little island and then think it's a me thing. Like, this is just a me thing. And it's nice. And it's such a wonderful place to go and find a space where you can find a connection and community, find a tribe that get you.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you think that nobody's done this thing, or nobody's had this experience, this has to be worse than everybody else's. I've all got that thing of like, it's almost like the competition for who can have the most shameful experience. Then in these groups, it's like, and there isn't this one-upmanship, but what you will get is a bunch of people that are like, oh, no, that's all right. That's been done as well. And that, and that. And it's not in a, as I say, not in a one-upmanship way, but in a like, no, it's okay. It's okay.
If I have a thing that I sometimes say to people when they come for breakthrough calls or connection calls to come and chat about coaching, I say, and I guess this kind of works like in a community as well. I'm like, if I pick up that someone's like holding, like they don't feel comfortable enough, and we're still like connecting and breaking through those barriers, I say, look, fear not. If I have a thing that I say, if you fucked a zebra, I fucked too. And like, obviously I haven't actually done that. But what I'm pointing to is like, we've all been there, and there'll be things that, in a group of people who've been on this experience with drugs, alcohol, with many things, we've all done stuff. It's not us. That doesn't kind of it doesn't impact our intrinsic value one iota. Like, it just doesn't work like that. And so you're not alone. You're not alone. And I would encourage anybody who feels like they are to just piece by piece be brave and courageous enough to raise a hand, to go to a coaching call, to speak up a little bit, to just come and share a win, bit by bit by bit. Because as like we were saying earlier, Ellie, like, I think one of the greatest ways of healing and releasing shameful thinking is through vulnerability and through sharing and through connection. It's the most powerful thing there is. Shining a light on it is the most powerful thing that there is.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter who you are in these groups, like, you are going to find people that you connect with and friendships that will last a lifetime, and that are so much deeper than many of the relationships that you might have with even people that are physically close to you. I had a Marco Polo the other day from a lady that was in one of my small coaching groups, and I was really excited to hear from her. And the delightful little gift that was on the other side of that Marco Polo was she'd only gone and got together with her other friends from that group, and they were all together. They were all there, and it was just so wonderful to see them all together and enjoying each other's company and getting to, having gotten very intimate with one another over the medium of Marco Polo, to then be able to physically get together and spend time. Like, what a wonderful thing. And they're going to have that connection for life.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast exists because we followed the breadcrumbs, right? As in, like, we were all both on our journey and then crossed paths, and we reached out to each other, all the rest of it. Like, it's amazing what can happen.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what's also amazing. It's also amazing that when people get together like that over the other side of the pond, like they've really put the effort in. They haven't like just,
Hey,
say driven past somebody
I haven't driven
that
past you.
and then not
I
called in to
probably,
see
at
them.
this
They've
rate,
actually made the effort to get
if
together.
I see you on the side of the road needing a lift, I will drive past you next time. Um, no, I was actually on my list of to do is to share potential times to see you over summer, but don't worry about it. Right. um, yes, I get it. Next, it's an upgrade.
It's an upgrade.
Now, I have a feeling that I think we need to really stay on the edge of this because if we dive in here, we're going to be here for a long time. And I know that you need to have some lunch today. You need some lunch.
I need to have some lunch.
You need to have some lunch today because otherwise you're going to be a rambling idiot when we come to record our next podcast. So it is an upgrade. And again, this is kind of looping back to it's not what you think it is in every single area of my life, including socializing, including stress response, including all of the things that I was most panicked about, where I thought, oh, fucking hell, what am I going to do about that? It's an upgrade. Like life is so much better. Life is so much better. And yeah,
It's just better. It just is.
I mean, other than breaking down it all the different ways that it is, I think, yeah, what comes to you? You're not allowed to do that.
That's exactly what I was just about to do. Well, suffice on a high level, there are just so many things that happen quite naturally and quite quickly, and you reap the benefits of them very quickly. And the basic stuff is like you get healthier. Your body recovers. It's amazing how quickly and how wonderfully the body can regenerate certain bits, and other bits stop falling off, and other bits, look like the eyes. If you're early on in this, make sure you've got some pictures of, before you likely have pictures of before your day one, and then in the alcohol experiment, we do day 1, day 30, and you look at the difference, and it's always in the eyes. And it's not a vanity thing. It's like a wow, like people brighten and sparkle, like the life. You can see the life back in them. Your skin clears up. You lose all of the inflammation. So all of these things, it's like a big snowball, and things just get better and better and better. The mental clarity that you have, the capacity to deal with stress, because you're no longer introducing unnecessary cortisol into the body. So there's this just wonderful accumulation of things that, again, it doesn't mean that you never have difficult life circumstances. It doesn't mean that everything's, in inverted commas, easy. But your life becomes so much more fulfilling because you have the opportunity to be present to it in a way that just simply isn't there when you drink.
Back of the net. Well done.
Back of the net.
Well done. Right. We've got 5 minutes to get the last one in. You ready?
Fist bump.
Digital high five. Right. Last one.
It's
powerful, this.
You can't fail.
You can't fail. No, you can't, because I now realize, zoomed out, looking back, the times where I thought I'd failed hardest were actually woven into the very fabric of my success. Because as it seems to me now, when you allow yourself to, I mean, like for me, like I often say, like I had like an 18, 19 month period away, and then I chose to drink again. I chose to drink again. There we go. Sorry. I chose to drink again. And yeah, I mean, at the time, if you'd asked me, what would I have said? I don't know, actually, because I had read This Naked Mind, and I'd read a lot about it. And I don't know if I'd have said I've failed. I don't know what I'd have said. But actually, I learned a huge amount then. And that led to me finding true freedom. So there's nothing to be afraid of. if you make a decision that you're going to try and do your 3 months or your 6 months, and something were to happen along the way, like, you just don't know. It's going to give you information that might be the key to set you free. It was an experience in different ways. Me and Ellie both had that experience, and we see thousands of people coming through This Naked Mind who have the same experience, and in our coaching groups they have those same experiences too. You can't.
Recognizing that your journey is uniquely yours, and it's that way for a reason. Like, how do you know it's meant to be that way? Because it is that way. So surrendering to that, not comparing yourself to anybody else or anybody else's journey, and embracing it for all of the teachings and the gifts that it brings to you. How could you possibly fail at anything? Like, you're being present to your life. You are taking everything that you can from it and growing. So I think some of this, again, comes back to those earlier points around it's not what you think it is, and it doesn't have to be hard. Like, we have these constructs of what it means to go on this journey, and it always feels like a bit of a stab in the heart when somebody says that their goal is to stop drinking, or their goal is to be sober, because that to me isn't a meaningful goal. And we say in This Naked Mind, but like, how are you going to know you're successful at stopping drinking? Because you'd have to wait until you're dead to
get a memo on your last day. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done, Ellie. You made it.
So what? But what was really meaningful to me was, and this comes back to intention, so let's make sure we pencil that one in. I wanted peace in my life. I didn't want my thinking to be consumed by drinking and alcohol. I wanted to feel peaceful and present and awake. That's how I wanted to feel. And so having an intention like that, like, I'm not saying that goals are in nowhere helpful, but let's be really mindful about what kind of things we're setting ourselves up for. And again, to get there, you need to be able to listen to that inner voice, because that will guide you to the right place every time.
Yeah. As it seems to me, look at this, 1 minute, we're going to do this. I can sense it in my bones. As it seems to me, I want to stop drinking is an invitation. And there may be a lot of people on here who have got that as their goal, but that ain't the goal, right? It's an invitation to the party. You've got to figure out what the party is. And the interesting thing about figuring out what the party is, well, feelings don't come from the outside world. They come from inside of us, and they come from our thoughts. So even just the allowing yourself to be courageous enough, because you deserve everything that party is going to be, you'll start feeling some of those things now, and it will start motivating you from the word go. So it's a really powerful thing. And it's innocent. Of course, we're going to focus on wanting to stop drinking. It's the thing that we can see is having the impact in his but the courageous thing is to look in a slightly different direction. And you might be amazed you will be amazed at what comes your way. Freaking look at that.
Freaking did it.
I think that was about 40 minutes.
I was just going to say one more thing.
Oh God.
I don't know whether I should.
Oh no. 10 minutes later. Go on.
Oh, what now? I forgot what it was.
Joking.
Bring it in next time. I forgot what it was, haven't I?
Oh, I was only joking.
Thanks, brain.
No worries. Are you talking to me? Or your brain?
My brain.
Yeah, I'm definitely not the brain of the brains of the operation. So sometimes I'm the waffler. I'm like an unruly waffle machine. It's like constantly making waffles, throwing them out into the air, and then you're like, here, you're catching them and like put them in a pile.
Assemble them.
Yeah.
And then give them toppings.
And then every now and again, I have the audacity to suggest that it is in fact you that is failing to keep the ship. I think between us, we do quite well. Done. Oh, now fuck. 5 minutes later. Oh, that was great. Right. So team, there we go. A whistle stop tour of things that are really good to know, and a message of hope wherever you are, and or a wonderful reminder of where you are, or where you may find yourself very soon. And yeah, love you all. How cool is that?
Awesome. Get floppy.
There we go, folks. So, look, come and let us know what you think in the Facebook group. There's loads of stuff going on in there. We're always going to let you know first about any kind of groups we're running, anything like that. You're always going to get a heads up and eyes on there first. So, and it's good fun in there. You know, we're trying our best to build something a bit different. We're trying to make it so that it's a discussion group that's a little bit different to some of the other groups out there. So we would love to see you there. So hey, you have an absolutely awesome week wherever you are. Love you all, and speak to you soon.